Commission pre-meeting to order at 8 a.m. Happy New Year to everyone. Good to see you this morning. Thank you all for coming out and being a part of our pre-commission meeting in preparation for the upcoming commission meeting on Tuesday. Start out by looking at the consent agenda. Again, we can remove any of these items from the consent agenda. So let's look at these here. Have our minutes. Number 10 is the approval to appoint Kenneth Murphy on the Board of Adjustment as a new planning board member.
Did somebody drop off?
Yeah, Greg Knuckles. Gary Knuckles. Anything on the consent agenda, or primarily just number 10?
Only thing I found that was the application. Just needs to be filled out. But entirely, it's not. There's stuff missing in there.
Okay.
But I think I actually met this guy when I went to do a tour at Jensen there.
And I guess the application is putting not applicable for areas that don't apply yet.
What's that?
That's what was missed on the application.
Well, like the signature, and then like you hold a public office, so it'll be filled out, which I know it doesn't. Stuff like that.
Got you a signature there at the.
Am I missing that in the agenda packet? Is the notes or the minutes to our special meeting in the agenda packet?
Yeah.
Is that it is? Okay. Or it's
All right, so we'll make a note of the completion of application. If the person, if the application is not turned back in by Tuesday, we need to remove this from the agenda though.
We'll get that type of thing.
Okay. All right. Old business. All right. 11. Way to wake up for the morning. All right. Old business number 11. The public hearing for the final reading of ordinance 1125. Small scale special land use map amendments for the low density residential mixed use. Right there on 124th Street. Any questions about that? Question. All right, then we'll move on to new business. The discussion and possible approval of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection matching grant agreement for the city of Lynn Haven's stormwater improvements in the amount of $1 million, which will be matched with the half-cent tax funds.
Now, is that the half-cent sales tax?
Surtax. We don't have a sales tax.
Or the surtax. Is that got a special purpose though? Those funds?
Infrastructure.
Okay.
And stormwater.
Mm-hmm. All infrastructure.
Yeah, it includes stormwater.
I think previously, maybe we didn't understand that it could be used. I think previously they didn't disclose all of what it could be used for.
Yeah.
But I know recently, I don't know, within the past maybe 6 months or so since becoming mayor, we've been able to, city managers talk more with county. And so they've been able to say, yeah, you can actually use some of those.
Yeah. And they had it on the ballot.
because originally it wasn't
Well,
pretty.
It was
It was
They
pretty
did
limited.
that ballot. Try to do it as broad as possible. I mean, first it was let's do roads, but if you look at the ballot language and the statute, which is really what governs it did say including stormwater.
Oh.
Because I think what they're thinking is you're going to do roads, you're going to wind up doing stormwater, ditches and stuff. It's broad enough that you can do standalone stormwater projects if you need to.
Any questions about that for the city manager staff? Number 13, discussion and possible approval of the task order and engineering for 242, the design and permit for the legislative funded stormwater dredging project. Questions about that? Questions? All right. 15. The way we order extension requests. Montage Bistro, 105 4th Street.
So what's going on with them? I'm just curious. I like my time.
There's a letter in there.
Give you an update on that.
Yes, yes. They're asking for an extension because they haven't been able to proceed within the year because of the increase in costs of materials and putting it in public facility. So they asked that they be allowed to have a one-year extension so that they still want the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a
letter in the agenda too. Any additional questions about this? 15, discussion of possible approval to accept parcel Mr. Grimsley, which we will then make into CRA Market Park.
Thanks, great.
Yeah, Chris can come up and give an update. Where Ben's here.
So this is just a little small triangle piece of like 1,800 square feet of property there, and it will coincide with the rail trail once we get that going. So it'll be a nice little pocket park there in that area. I don't think there's anything that the kids involved in that area too right now. So it'll be a great asset for that part of that.
We plan on like a playground or something.
Any other questions? No. Thank you. All right, so that is our agenda for this upcoming Tuesday.
Mayor, if I had something, I brought it up a couple times in the past couple of years, but I want to get back on the source of getting a study done or looking and seeing what the cost would be on putting utilities underground along 77. Obviously, I'm not talking about the whole stretch of 77 because that would be just way too much money. But if we did a block each side of the road a year or something, I'd really like to have a discussion on what we can do with that. After the hurricane, any of us that were here after that, one of the big obstacles was all the poles moving around. Well, if everything's underground, we don't have that issue. So I'm just thinking about the future residents here and the aesthetics. It's going to go along with the 77 corridor, the aesthetics that we want. The less power lines and poles you have, the better it's for the
Yeah.
I know moving one pole right now is about
18,000
to move.
That's why I want to find out what the cost is.
I got a little bit of experience with it because I actually wrote a course on underground electrical, and it's expensive up front. Of course, in the long run, you're talking like 15, 20 years down the road, you start getting your back your return on investment because the maintenance cost of underground electrical is a whole lot less than it is for overhead. Not only that, it used to be not as beneficial, but they've made the underground cables a whole lot better with the insulation that they're making that. But the other thing is now that Golf Power is going to the company Cornell. From what I understand, that's one of their big things. And I don't know if we want to get with them to see if that's something.
It's a simple
But
That's one of the big things that they're focusing on. So I don't know if that falls under their realm.
It does. Can I
speak to that? And the only reason I know a lot about what's going on is because of the building that we're doing right now. All of the utilities we are planning on doing underground. We had to get with Florida Power. That was an additional $44,000 cost to put this underground, and then have to get with every communications company, AT&T, Wow, and Xfinity for theirs to be underground as well. So I'm working with them to make sure that all those things happen. For instance, Xfinity didn't cost us anything. They said, hey, we're going to do that. We're glad to do it. It's great. They have to have plans how design plans of how they're going to move it underground. And I think you'll see we'll have kind of a glimpse of what it'll look like for all utilities to be underground with a new building.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key thing with this is finding opportunities when you're already doing something to do that. That's what drives me nuts about the whole 390 project, because they had to move those poles anyways. So why didn't they? They just
It's a whole lot easier in new development.
Totally.
To make sure
It is.
Yep. And I think we need to be cognizant as a board to new development when these things are happening, bring this stuff up. You know, I think the state even had some legislation that was given to the governor. If you were within so many miles of the coastline, you're going to have to start phasing in all underground utilities. But I don't think the governor has signed it. I think it's just sit on his desk for a year or so. But it could be just because of the cost effectiveness or the logistics of it. It's too cumbersome. But doesn't mean we can't be thinking about future development.
And we will be kind of the first in this area to do that with the new building, so that'll lead us into some, people getting developers and other businesses start thinking about that new development.
But typically when they have new developments, they're going to put it underground, like land and landing.
Yes, all of it.
I don't know about buildings. So, but that's all.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else in relation to the agenda or the order?
I actually have one thing I just want to bring to the commission's attention. Amanda and I both have had phone calls about within the area for residents about the ABD rentals that people are doing where they rent out their entire houses for a week. Spring breakers, people that can't find rentals on the beach. They are doing this within some of the areas that some of the residents are calling us and saying, hey, there's an entire house that's been rented out to people for I don't know, for whatever reason. We saw a little bit of uptick. Last year we had a couple of realtors call us and said, hey, do you know that Lynn Haven is having a little bit of an uptick for these Airbnb rentals, and we didn't know that. We went on and we did see a few there. And so I want you to be cognizant of that. We don't have any policies in place for that. And it's just something we want to think about. Do we want to protect our residents and their neighborhoods and their quality of life? How do you want to do that? Because really, when residents call us and complain, we don't have a policy in place that says you can't do that at this point. And I just want to bring that to your attention. And if you want Amanda and I to go back and do some research, bring it to you, you start thinking about what's the most feasible way to handle this, because right now there is not a policy. And Amanda, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
We don't have a policy in place right now. So what I've been doing is we allow home occupations. This is in residential, low density residential areas. People are allowed to have a home occupation so long as it takes up no more than 25% of their house, and they don't have any more foot traffic coming to the house than they would if it was just an ordinary residence. And none of that 25% can be in a garage or whatever. So the way we've been dealing with it is if people live in the house and they're renting out one room, then they can get a home occupation license. However, if they don't live in the house, because it also says in the ordinance that anybody who operates or works within that business has to live. But if they don't live in the house and they are renting out the entire house for a weekend, a couple of days, or a week, short-term rentals, that's a commercial venture. And so that is not, we at the moment are not allowed. We're saying we don't have an official policy, but it doesn't fit what our policies are at the moment. And so that it would only be allowed in commercial, more like a motel or a hotel or something. Because the problem that we're having now, I've had 6 calls this week alone from realtors that have people that want to buy houses that are for sale purely for the purpose of renting them out short-term rentals. They don't even live in them.
So they need a
That's going
land.
to drive house prices up. Well, we've got shortage of houses as it is.
So they need, in order for them to do that, they have to have a land use code of commercial.
Right now, if they wanted to have a commercial business, they would have to be in a commercial land use district. But we don't allow single family homes in commercial. But it would be more like a hotel or a motel or something.
So I guess my question is, if they're not living in the house and they're renting the house for short-term rental, that's illegal unless it's on a commercial.
Well, we don't have anything that says that it's
We're
illegal.
just telling them that's commercial use. So
Yeah.
we
We
need to have some regulations.
Yeah.
Single family residential.
So this is a policy, and we really felt like we needed to bring it to the commission to either set policy or say, you don't want to touch it.
What neighborhoods are you seeing this in?
In all the low density residential, somebody here, Fernandez is not here. Where does Fernandez live?
Yeah.
Pine Forest, and across from him. They're all over in the historic
Pine Forest. Wow.
They can rent those out for $1,000 a week.
Yeah,
I think most people wouldn't want to live next door to that. When other people come into town, they have no control of their behavior or how many cars they have or how many parties they have or anything.
Exactly. And we will see an uptick just because the county is growing in so many areas. The beach is growing and people are just not having any places to rent. When you get into spring break, you're probably going to see some uptick somewhere.
Yeah, the realtors are saying that, because I said, why I know Lynn Haven's a lovely place, but I'm surprised that there's so many people wanting to buy properties to turn into Airbnbs. And Lynn Haven just said, well, it's because they can't find places on the beach, the beach is too expensive. So they're not even here for Lynn Haven. They're looking at buying properties out purely to rent out at a high rent to get money for people who want to get to the beach.
Well,
we have that one across the street from the cafe. Like 3 or 4 apartments, and they rented that out, but they didn't do much business, believe it or not. Maybe twice a month we'd see a couple people, and that was it. But now they're renovating that, so I don't know what they're going to do with it.
So I know that there was someone who they called us asked if they could have a group there.
Have a what up there?
Oh,
okay. Well, they've got a dumpster out there. I mean, they're renovating.
Yeah, there's a few different people interested. They're looking at it for different things.
Yeah.
I think it hasn't sold.
I'm
I'm pretty sure it sold the other day.
Well, if it has sold, it's probably sold to people that, well, maybe people that wanted to do the group hub, but they were looking at having a group hub. I've got to try and think, so I can't remember if it's mixed use or commercial, but there's one of the things they wanted to do, they could do, but one of the things they couldn't do. But I think they could, with what it is, I think they could have rooms that they could let out short term and then operate like a little, like brew their beer and then have a little bar at back.
That works.
If they were to do that, it would have to come to you because it would be a change of use and they would need a development.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
That's a good point. So it gives us some things to think about and follow back up with the city manager on her and her staff to have some directives on how to move forward with that. So, all right, thank you. Anything else before we go? Meeting adjourned.